Mbappe, we understand, has been deliberately hiding Budweiser's name in his man-of-the-match photographs to avoid promoting alcohol at this World Cup. He hasn't yet appeared at a single news conference in Qatar as he wants to avoid questions about his future with Paris Saint-Germain. Now, whether that's accurate or not is a matter within itself. But what we do know is that because he was, for the third time, man of the match yesterday, this time against Poland, he had to speak to what is called the FIFA hub. Not the media, the FIFA hub. And this was him doing just that.
To be honest, no. The only objective for me is to win the World Cup. Now to win the next game, quarterfinal, is the most important things. And that's what I dream. The only thing I dream is this. Is for that I came here. I came to win this World Cup. I didn't came here to win the Golden Ball or the Golden Boot. See, if I win it, of course, I'm going to be happy. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to win, and I'm here to help the French national team.
OK, so he's here to win. That's fine. But as regards the world's media, for Kylian, it's a bit of a case of hide and seek because he doesn't want to be associated with the World Cup's main sponsor, Budweiser. Mbappe's image rights policy being not to advertise alcoholic drinks as well as sports betting and junk food. So where do you go with this, Simon? Is he right to be adopting this outlook when he knows that his performances will merit him appearing in front of the world's media? But that's when he pulls on the brakes.
Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because everyone's right to have their principles and their values, and how deep and deep-seated they are in someone is always a debate, and how much of it is wrapped in hypocrisy. When you're looking at the manner in which footballers are paid and the manner in which the revenue is generated in football, there's a few clubs that are exceptions. You know, his club, with PSG and its ownership model, with Nasser Al-Khelaifi at the top of it, probably has an element of exception about it because of the Qatar money going in there. But most of the time, it's because of the broadcasting revenues. The broadcasting revenues attached to the advertisers, and the advertisers happen to be Budweiser. So you enjoy this wonderful lifestyle of being paid for what we've understood to be the best part of £250 million a year, which is absolutely absurd, but notwithstanding that is what it is.
Yeah.
And part and parcel of that are brands such as Budweiser, Budweiser Zero, and so on and so forth that are fueling the economy that you take the benefit out of. Whilst you have sponsorship deals with people like Nike that have sweatshops in Taiwan, you don't have a problem endorsing their brand, but you do have a problem in being associated without specifically asking to endorse the brands that support the World Cup and support clubs that you play for. I think it's an indication of where player power is. I think it's an indication of there's an element of hypocrisy attached to it. I think there's an element of lack of respect for the environment that you're in. Nobody suggests that you have to endorse these things by the very nature of being involved in a discussion about a match winning an award and obscuring the brand of a particular brand that you don't agree with.
It's what he believes. I mean, morally, it's what he believes. He's anti-alcohol.
Well, that's fine, and perhaps they should be a bit clever when they put Bud Zero there and do it that way. That's what they perhaps should do, and say, well, you can't possibly object to us having Budweiser Zero then because it's not an alcoholic drink. So away you go, and probably he'll have his slightly pious attitude.
You see, the French Football Federation have approved his behaviour here.
I've seen the arguments of it because they're giving into player power.
Yeah,
I've seen
he's
the
paying the
arguments.
fines himself for not speaking to the media.
Well, I mean, if you're on £3.5 million a week after tax, we are talking about whatever fines they're giving to you is incidental. It's a balance. If it is a deep-seated, this is the thing, and here comes my hypocrisy at the same time. If it's a deep-seated belief and you're prepared to suffer the consequences of it, unlike the players that wouldn't take a yellow card in the World Cup, that had such a deep-seated belief about the One Love armband that when it came to any consequences for them, they didn't want to deal with it. Right? If he believes emphatically and deeply to his core that he doesn't want to be used in any shape or form to endorse products that he really has a fundamental disagreement with, and he's prepared to take the consequences of it, there is something to be said for that. The flip side of that argument is the reason why he's in a position where he can earn £250 million a year is in part because of these brand sponsors. So which way would you want it, Kylian? What we're going to do is we're going to uphold your values. And unfortunately, football is no longer going to have this enormous wealth that's generated through advertising revenue. Broadcasters aren't going to be able to give the money, so your salary is going to be dropped by £175 million. How do you feel about that? You'll see him standing there with a bottle of Budweiser in a year's time.
Well, he's not the first one to do it. I mean, Ronaldo moved Coke bottles from a press conference last at the Euros, telling those in attendance, drink water.
I mean, yes.
I mean, they are doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we can have this argument, about McDonald's sponsoring kids' football. And then you talk about obesity. And I maintain the view, if you've got fat kids and it's nothing to do with medical condition, then it's child abuse because parents are feeding them with food they shouldn't be eating. I maintain that view. Education.
It's not a very popular viewpoint.
I couldn't care less. If you walk down the road with an emaciated kid, everyone will say that's child abuse. You walk down the road with a fat kid with fat parents in front of him, everyone goes, "Oh, it's not our fault. We can't cook good food."
Say
It's
what you mean,
nonsense.
Simon.
It's nonsense. And McDonald's and its principle of giving a lot back to grassroots football has done a lot. It's about making sure that people are aware of the differences and the reasons why they're there and giving people an opportunity to choose. And tragically, there are going to be things involved in sport that people don't concur or agree with. And I understand his principle. I admire him for taking the stance if it involves some consequence attached to it. But then again, on the other side of it, he is the beneficiary of a business which is fueled by these businesses, by these advertisers, and he takes the benefit of that on the other side. So it's a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I can see both sides in this one.
It means it does show the degree of seriousness that he has about his moral outlook.
Well,
And the lengths that he's going to. He's paying these fines himself.
Well, how much are these fines?
As you say, well, I mean, they're
if they're 50 grand fines,
it's back pocket change to him, as you rightly say.
Yeah.
But at least he's doing it.
Well, if his beliefs are deep-seated, then he's taking the consideration. I make this argument: if you believe in the values that you're supposedly advertising that you do, then everything comes like we said with the German players. Nobody silenced those morons. They silenced themselves by not being prepared to have the courage of their convictions. Nobody stopped England from wearing a one-arm band. They said there was a consequence attached to it. Whether you agree with the consequence, that's a different discussion. You either have courage of your convictions or you don't. In this instance, he appears to have, and I wondered when these convictions, I wonder if there's any commercial compromises. Where have they come from? Is it some religious belief that he has? What's his background? Because if I understand the background of the player and the reasons why he's objected to these things, then maybe you can give him more cachet. You know, Ronaldo suggesting don't drink Coke because he thinks you should drink water. I don't want to hear a lecture from Ronaldo. You don't have to to give us a lecture. I'll drink what I want to drink, and so will those that I'm responsible, like my children.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, whether you like it or you don't, part and parcel of what put you where you are these brands.
I have to say, just in the passing, I don't think I'll ever forget some of the figures that were quoted in the back of that people
It's
carrier.
obscene, isn't it?
Were some of the people who we know
It's
were
obscene.
working of late with Mbappe.
It's obscene.
The amount of money that
obscene.
these guys are earning is utterly off the scale.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of object to the term earning because some of it is laughable. I mean,
But I looked at you, even you were gobsmacked when I heard some of the figures.
It's gone beyond the pale. It's now ridiculous. And what happens, tragedy for me, what upsets me, people say that's because they've got more money than you. Fine, big deal. That's not an argument. The real argument is that the problem for football is that it has a drip down effect. This is where I get upset. If you're going to give 250 million, £250 million a year to a 23-year-old for kicking a bag of wind round, right? It's going to have a drip down effect, and all of a sudden, mediocre players, I'm only getting 80 grand a week. I'm hard done by because I'm on £100,000 a week. That's the problem that football has as a result of this hyperinflation.
Yeah, nice if you can get it.